Welcome to the Bean Pod, a podcast about decentralized finance and the Beanstalk protocol. I'm your host, Rex. Before we get started, we always want to remind everyone that on this podcast, we are very optimistic about decentralized finance in general and Beanstalk in particular. With that being said, 3 things. First, always do your own research before you invest in anything, especially what we talk about here on the show. Second, while you're doing that research, try to find as many well-developed, opposing viewpoints as possible to get the best overall picture. And third, never ever invest money that you can't afford to lose or at least be without for a while. And with that, on with the show. On this episode of the pod, Publius and I are going to bring things all the way around. So on our first 2 episodes, we talked about Beanstalk's philosophy and its components. Now we're going to talk about its people. And as head of community at Beanstalk, this is one of my favorite things to talk about, so I really can't wait. Oh, and as a quick reminder, Publius uses a voice modulator to help conceal their identity. It's nothing to be afraid of, but it does take a bit of getting used to. So let's jump right in. You've talked through what brought you from a couple Thanksgivings ago, reading the EST white paper, to that 9-month sprint, the new white paper that is now the Beanstalk white paper, which for those listening can be found on our website at bean.money. Now we're here, 7 months after launch, through some kind of ups and downs, but really have achieved significant price stability. Oscillation around peg has been very reliable, especially since, let's say, like late January. When it comes to how the organization has grown and developed since that initial launch, could you talk us through your viewpoint on what's happened organizationally, going from this real small team that's doing the sprint to where the team is at now?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that puts a big smile on our face to think about and get to talk about. So, putting aside Publius, now we're just one cog in the wheel of Beanstalk Farms, which is the decentralized development organization, putting together the Bean Pod and doing a bunch of other stuff to support Beanstalk. Uh, I think the latest numbers are like 40 plus paid contributors through Beanstalk Farms, and that stretches across community. It stretches across business development. It stretches across marketing. There's a branding department, a variety of different engineering departments. There's an analytics and data team. At this point, there's a whole wide, diverse set of participants that are all working to build Beanstalk and contribute their unique skill sets and viewpoints and value added. And that's really exciting. And so the other thing is, it's not just about numbers, it's about the quality. The quality of people that wanted to come work on Beanstalk and quit their full-time traditional world jobs and come work on Beanstalk Farms it's kind of mind-blowing. And so, at least speaking from our perspective, we're at the point where we really are just part of the operation that is Beanstalk Farms. And Beanstalk Farms is separate from the on-chain Beanstalk DAO, right? So there's a high level of different aspects to the decentralization of working on Beanstalk at this point, whereas we started from just a Publius, right? A small group working on this, in our minds, right? To now being at the place where there's dozens of people that are spending all or most of their free time working on making Beanstalk happen is quite the amazing experience. And it's, we take great pride in the quality of the people that are all working on Beanstalk. And one of the things that's also most rewarding from our perspective is that the quality of the community that aren't necessarily working on Beanstalk actively, but are just helping newcomers get acquainted with the protocol. And when you stereotypically think about what's out there on the internet, it's been amazing to witness the birth of this amazing organic spot on the internet for real substance, and that's cool to be a part of.
I couldn't agree more. I think a lot about how you really said it, what the internet can look like right now, especially in environments where anonymity, pseudonymity are very common. A lot of times it seems like people take that as an opportunity to show their worst. And one of the things that I think about literally every day, especially being, with the community team and thinking a lot about how our organization is growing and what the culture is. I want to echo how pleasantly surprising, really energizing it is to go into the Discord or to see different communication happening on Twitter. I mean, there's a lot of energy, but the energy is positive. It is a group full of very smart individuals, but at the same time, nobody worries when someone asks a rudimentary question or when a question that's been asked 30 times gets asked the 31st time. There's never a backlash or we'll just go to the FAQ, here's a link. There is always somebody that's willing to step in and talk an individual through what's going on, answer their questions, sometimes even manage fears about things like when their investment might be realized. So individuals that are using beans to buy pods and looking at the pod line and saying, this is going to take forever. They start to lose confidence. To have individuals come alongside of them and say, well, here are some other options. Here's some things to consider. That positive interaction that we see on a daily basis is extremely energizing. And I think, at least for now, we are in a very positive feedback loop within the community. And for me, that's extremely exciting to see. And that's not even necessarily to talk about the first group that you mentioned, which are really the staff that surround the Beanstalk project in general, the protocol, the DAO, etc. Um, Again, I mean, you really said it. Some extremely talented individuals that have left, great jobs in other places, and the quality of work that we see on a regular basis is such that you can tell that these individuals take their craft seriously. They're very passionate, and at the same time work together really well, are willing to have constructive dialogue, um, support each other, step in when someone needs help. And it's another place where that positive feedback loop has started. And it's really just it's a great place to be. It's a wonderful place to contribute and to learn. And from the community side, I find myself thinking a lot like, how do we bottle this? How do we capture this? Right now there's 2300 2350 members in the Discord. I want this same energy when there are 7,500 more. When we're at, 10,000 folks in the Discord and we've got just a hulking organization sitting out there. I want the same energy. And I know that that's something that we think about a lot and talk about a lot. How can we keep this great thing in terms of how we treat each other within the organization?
Well, Rex, I hate to turn this one back on you, but that makes sense that you're thinking about this because you're leading the community department, man. So that makes sense that it's top of mind. But don't have much that I can add because, frankly, not sure if we can take any credit for the quality of the community. It's been amazing to witness it grow, but it's the individuals that comprise it that really make it so amazing. So how we're gonna continue that trend is to hopefully attract high quality people, first and foremost by putting out high quality and intellectually intellectually honest content, and that seems to attract the people you're describing.
That's exactly it. You just hit the thought that was running through my mind. We can put as many systems in place as we want to try to reward interaction and highlight individuals that are helpful or whatever, but that intellectual honesty is fundamental. And there are a multitude of projects um, that I would say aren't necessarily intellectually honest, that do take advantage of either the naivete of investors or a particular opportunity in a market that might not necessarily be honest or legitimate. They may have found something that's exploitive. Um, to have a system built on that intellectual honesty and that genuine curiosity is fundamental. And then from there, we start to get to ask the really good questions about how do we move from that foundation to recognizing and rewarding individuals that personify it and give them opportunities to turn around and to reflect that honesty and those fundamental principles out to new and growing members of the community, and then really to the public at large. And it's a really exciting place to be from a community standpoint. It's a good spot to be in.
And isn't that such an incredible feeling, right? Like we have the
Yeah.
whole world in front of us and the opportunity. And one of the coolest things about decentralized finance, when done properly, is that that's actually what it should naturally create. Because when you have economically aligned individuals, they are incentivized to coordinate,
Mhm.
right? And so ultimately, this is the manifestation of strong protocol incentives that create, it's not benevolent behavior. People have exposure to the protocol, and contributing to its success is far and away the best use of their time, clearly, right? And that's an amazing place to be.
It's a great spot to be with some great things to come. So definitely appreciate your time, Publius. I think we're going to have you back for our next episode where we'll talk about some of the more key components of the protocol itself. And excited to hear more about that and to hear what's on the way. Thanks again.
Yeah, this is hopefully the first. If you'll have, it seems like you'll have us back at least once more. But we like this chair. So thanks for having us, Rex, and excited to start this endeavor together. But wishing you the best with this bean pod, and excited for what it becomes.
Thanks so much.